Can we all please stand for the pledge? We're going to call the meeting to order first.
Motion.
Second.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. We're going to have a moment of silence for the students. We're going to have a moment of silence for the people of Uvalde, Texas. Thank you. Okay. Tonight we're going to do, we're recognizing quite a few of our employees who have received tenure. Yeah, okay. Do I have a motion on part of the Board of Ed?
Motion.
Second.
Heather and Camille. Any questions? Good. Okay. We have, be it resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approves the tenure appointments to the following employees. Teresa Elarde, Aaron Matthews, Jody McCaffrey, Marissa Curcio, and Karen Brooks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 7-0.
Okay. So we are now to the recognition part of our evening. Tonight is a very special night. We will be recognizing our tenure candidates, our student board representative, our top 10 in the class of 2022, and our retirees from the Highland School District. So, Mr. President, if we would like to call the principals up, and they will speak on behalf of their tenure candidates, and then we would like to give them a token of our thanks for the work that they've done and congratulate them on their tenure, and then we would like to get a picture of them if possible. So after you've been recognized, if the tenure candidates could stand over here, we'd like to get one group shot with all of the tenure candidates. So first up, we have Mr. Darling from the elementary school.
Good evening, everybody. Good to see you all. I'm going to start talking about Teresa Elarde, keep it alphabetical, and then I'll move on to Jody McCaffrey tonight. So Miss Elarde, she's been with us as a first grade teacher at Highland Elementary School for the last 4 years, since 2018. Prior to Highland Elementary School, she completed various leave replacements at Wappingers, Arlington, and St. Peter's Catholic School. She holds a bachelor's degree in early childhood and childhood education from SUNY New Paltz. She received her master's degree from New Paltz in literacy and special education 1 through 6. Ms. Elarde has been an active participant in multiple trainings on the science of reading this year, as well as last year. She's consistently enrolled in local professional development events to continue her growth as a teacher in our building. Within the school community, Ms. Elarde has made significant contributions to our PBIS committee. She's also taken the lead on planning field trips in first grade, such as the planetarium visit at SUNY New Paltz, which the students really enjoy. Ms. Elarde has established herself as a valued member of the Highland Elementary School community, and we would like to congratulate her on receiving tenure this evening. Jody McCaffrey. Mrs. McCaffrey has been the elementary music and chorus teacher since 2018. Prior to coming to Highland, Mrs. McCaffrey taught music in Arlington, Wappingers, and East Ramapo. She holds a bachelor's degree and master's degree in music education K-12 from Western Connecticut State University. During the past 4 years, she's played an integral role in our music department's ability to adapt to the COVID pandemic. In her teaching, you'll regularly see her greeting students at the door with a guitar, an acoustic guitar in hand, and there's regular singing in those greetings as well. Mrs. McCaffrey is constantly exposing children to several types of music, as well as various hands-on experiences with instruments in the classroom. If you attended the elementary school concert last night, you saw firsthand her ability to engage and work with our 4th and 5th grade chorus students. Over the years, her students have done the national anthem and God Bless America at Dutchess Stadium, performed at local nursing homes and on the Joe Daly radio show, and even compiled a digital concert during COVID. Mrs. McCaffrey has demonstrated her ability to foster a love of learning about and making music, and we want to congratulate her on receiving tenure as well.
Thank you, Mr. Darling. If we could ask Mrs. Coburn to please come up and recognize her tenure candidates.
Good evening. This is Mrs. Curcio, and she will be tenured this evening. Mrs. Curcio has served the district as a 7th grade special education teacher for the past 4 years. Ms. Curcio holds a bachelor's degree in history from Manhattanville College and a master's of professional studies in special education and social studies education from Manhattanville College. Additionally, in the 2021-22 school year, Ms. Curcio took on the role of the special education coordinator for the building. Ms. Curcio has grown into an amazing teacher leader within the 7th grade team and as a building and the building as a whole. Ms. Curcio is passionate about developing units of instruction that are cross-curricular and involve multiple 7th grade teachers working together to spiral the content in a way that connects various topics to one another through highly engaging activities. This has created an excitement amongst our teachers and willingness to open their classrooms to other content areas to continue this undeniable impact in the development of interdisciplinary instruction within the building and the grade level. Ms. Curcio is not only a great teacher, but a wonderful colleague. She is attentive, participates in meetings, is always on time. Ms. Curcio treats students, parents, and faculty with the utmost respect. She is a great listener and makes people feel as though they have an advocate and someone who will work to help creatively solve a problem. She is a professional when it comes to dealing with confidentiality and sensitive situations with students, staff, and parents. Mrs. Curcio is an incredible teacher who is committed to the students and the community of Highland Central School District. Her unique teaching, dedication, and approach to supporting our students who struggle academically is extraordinary, and is for these reasons and many more that I recommend Ms. Curcio for tenure. Come on down, Mr. Weaver. Good evening. This is Mr. Weaver, Mr. Cody Weaver, and he is going to be tenured in Highland Central School District. Mr. Weaver has served the district as a 7th and 8th grade science teacher for the past 4 years. Mr. Weaver is also a graduate of Highland Central School District, and Mr. Weaver holds a degree in biology from Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts and a master's in education from Marist College. Additionally, Mr. Weaver has been coaching modified baseball for 5 years and modified football for the past 4 years. During Mr. Weaver's 4 years in the classroom, he has helped develop a strong science program that is rooted in hands-on, inquiry-based science, or student-driven and collaborative instruction. On many occasions, Mr. Weaver has stopped into my office before school starts to warn me about something he's going to be trying in the classroom and encouraging me to come in and participate with the students. This is who Mr. Weaver is. He's not afraid to look at things differently or try out a project with the students' best interests in mind. Mr. Weaver is willing to be a part of the team, initiative, or an event that encourages and supports the district's mission. He is committed to dressing up for Halloween. I would certainly like to make that a note as well. He can be seen dressing up for PBIS Spirit Days, at a sporting event, sitting in the bleachers with students during a grade level activity, playing the guitar with sixth graders as they sing Christmas carols during lunch duty, or working with staff to plan a field trip. Mr. Weaver is an incredibly valuable member of this school, community, and district. His commitment to teaching and learning is extraordinary. And for these reasons and many more, I recommend Mr. Weaver for tenure.
Thank you, Mrs. Coburn. Mr. Zimmer, if you could please come up and recognize your tenure candidate.
Good evening, everyone. As principal of Highland High School, I'm honored to be here to talk a little bit about Erin Matthews. Erin Matthews is a choral music teacher who started teaching at Highland High School in September 2019. Since being employed by our district, Erin Matthews has considerably helped improve our music program, not only at the high school level, but district-wide. Erin works with her colleagues to improve academic expectations surrounding music instruction in our district. And in addition to the annual winter concerts, spring concerts, and scholarship concerts, Erin has successfully directed 4 musicals at Highland High School. The 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, Bye Bye Birdie, Wonderland High, and Freaky Friday. Erin also co-directed 2 rock concerts at Highland High School. Erin Matthews has become an invaluable member of our school community. Students, parents, administration, and faculty respect her. It is without reservation that I congratulate Erin on receiving tenure tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmer. I get the honor of recognizing our next tenure candidate. Karen Brooks is our district data and analysis teacher or administrator. She's been in the district for a number of years now. She holds certification as a school district administrator, a reading teacher K-12, social studies 7-12, and elementary N through 6. Karen has been instrumental in providing her colleagues with information and data that helps to assist them in planning programmatic shifts within our buildings. She has been organizing our after-school learning sessions and our summer programs for a number of years now. She helps to identify students that need those supports and facilitates making those programs come together. She's been supervising those programs and hiring the folks that are needed to run those programs. Karen has often worked with our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum to identify data points that help to inform the work being done within our schools. She runs reports and uses a multi-dimensional approach to prove or disprove whether particular efforts are working for our students. I know I can speak on behalf of the administrative team when I say, Karen, thank you. Your knowledge of data is second to none, and we do appreciate everything that you do for us. So thank you and congratulations. And I would be remiss if I did not also recognize Mr. Zimmer. Mr. Zimmer, if you're not aware, he tends to get tenure in our district and then moves on to another position. So Mr. Zimmer received tenure as an assistant principal, and then within hours, he became the high school principal. And he was tenured earlier in the year, and for those that are not aware, he will be joining the table at the next meeting as the new Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction. So, Mr. Zimmer, thank you so much for your dedication, and we wish you all the best. And I think Mr. Carnwright's going to help to get a nice picture for our Facebook page. Yeah, if you guys want to now come on over to the front, that would be great. So it doesn't look like a lineup. Congratulations again. Our next recognition this evening is to recognize Maggie Van Valkenburg. She has been our student representative for the Highland Board of Education for the 21-22 school year, and I know each of the board members is probably going to want to say something because Maggie has been instrumental in bringing the concerns of students to the forefront. She speaks on behalf of all three of our buildings and does a fabulous job. So I'm not going to say the same things that the board members are going to say, but I know they all have something that they want to say. My biggest thing is just thank you for all you do.
Yes, I'd like to thank Maggie. Maggie, I've served on this board for quite a few years, gone through quite a few student representatives, and I got to echo Mr. Freer's comments on how you are able to relate each and every one of the buildings to this board, so we have a real insight into what goes on in all three of our campuses. So for that, I want to congratulate you and wish you good luck in your future endeavors. So thank you, Maggie.
I also want to echo the same sentiment. Thank you very much for everything you've done for us this year. We are here for the students. You were able to bridge that gap and bring us really back perspective from the students to help us make informed decisions. So thank you and best of luck.
I have to say something because we were told we're all going to say something.
The least we could do.
I reiterate exactly what they're saying. You have filled a position that, to be honest, before you came in, we had the wonderful experience of having two representatives that were able to encompass all three campuses. And I was concerned because it was such a pleasure to have all of that information. And I was concerned that maybe we needed more than one person, and you effortlessly filled that. I look forward to seeing what you accomplish in this world, because you clearly have an amazing set of skills and a determination, and it was our honor to have you here. Thank you.
I would echo what everyone else has said. Just the voice you brought to the board from the students, and also want to just give you appreciation for the club, the medical professional clubs, and just all the work that you did this year with the clinics and just the senior citizens. So just that work there. I know it's not part of this title, but just want to appreciate that as well.
Just wanted to also say thank you for absolutely giving all students a voice district-wide, and good luck next year. And I just wanted to say thank you so much to your family who shared us with you. And also, I just wanted to publicly recognize her mom was recognized by the board as a distinguished citizen that we awarded just a week or two ago. So it runs in the family, and thank you all so much for your service.
Maggie, it's been an absolute pleasure to know you. I have to echo what everyone has said, but in addition, I had an opportunity to listen to Maggie speak at the Ulster County School Board Association. I think it was several months ago, about her personal experience dealing with COVID and learning from home. She was one of many young folks who spoke that night, and I will remember that for a long, long time, you sharing your feelings and what you went through. Thank you.
Maggie, thank you very much. Athlete, scholar, board rep, many, many positions, and you did them all at the top of your game. And I'm going to take an opportunity right now to also, a little ahead of time, congratulate you for also being within the top 10 students of your graduating class. Thank you.
So now I would like to invite our president and vice president of the board to please join Maggie in the middle for a picture and a certificate of thanks for the service that she gave us. Thanks again, Maggie. At this time, I'd like to recognize the top 10 of the class of 2022. Please welcome Mr. Zimmer and Mr. Murphy, who will do those honors.
Should be in order. And then 1 and 2. Good evening again. I'm honored to be here to announce the top 10 students of the class of 2022. We all know that a tremendous amount of hard work and dedication goes into achieving such a distinction as this. Congratulations to each of the top 10 students and their families. Number 10. Plans to attend SUNY New Paltz, where she will major in business. She also plans on getting her pilot's license and aviation mechanics license after graduating high school. Evelyn Wright. And wait awkwardly. You can
look at them.
You can do it gracefully, too.
Number 9 has committed to attending Binghamton University, where he will major in mathematics. Ryan Ta. Number 8 was accepted into the honors program at Stevens Institute of Technology and plans to study mechanical engineering with a minor in music. Marcelo Cuya. Number 7 will be attending Colby College in the fall and plans on majoring in computer science. Tyrese Ling. Number 6 will begin her pursuit of becoming a nurse practitioner and will also major in Spanish and will attend Hartwick College in the fall. Margaret Van Valkenburg. Number 5 plans to take a gap year to volunteer in hospitals in Kenya and Athens. Then she plans to study biology to become a doctor. Ava Damasio. Number 4 will be attending the University of Southern California and majoring in computer science. Rhea Shenoy. Number 3 plans to attend Rochester Institute of Technology and will major in applied mathematics. Dorothy Suzuki Burke. Number 2 will attend Stony Brook University, where he will major in biology with a pre-med track with a specialization in developmental genetics and will minor in Spanish. Our salutatorian is Demetrius Bacatius. Finally, number 1 in the class of 2022. She plans to attend Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute and will major in science. Our valedictorian of the class of 2022 is Caitlin McPeck. And here we have it, ladies and gentlemen, the top 10 students of the class of 2022. Congratulations. No. Thank you. For the kids.
Just left a smile, Wait a minute, one more.
Congratulations again, everyone. At this point, we would like to recognize a total of 284 years working for the Highland Central School District, and that is a combination of all of this year's retirees. So let's give them a round of applause before we bring them all up. I believe, Mr. Darling, you're going to start by announcing the retirees from the elementary school.
So I'll start off this evening talking about Peg Creamer, who wasn't able to be with us tonight. She's not feeling well. But Mrs. Creamer is a teaching assistant in our building. She's been there for 14 years, serving in that capacity. She's been in a number of different areas within the building as well as grade levels, but primarily she's serviced our students in the self-contained classrooms within our special education department. Everyone speaks very highly of Peg, from parents to students to staff that she works with, and we want to congratulate her on her retirement and recognize her tonight. And then Mrs. Trank, if I could ask you to come on up. So Anne-Marie Trank has been a teacher at Highland Elementary School for 30 years. And there's still a chance to make that 31 if you don't want to go through with this. Starting in 1992, Mrs. Trank has worked in kindergarten, first, third, and fourth grade. During her tenure, she has served as both grade level coordinator and as the building union rep. She's been involved with the after-school program as well as our summer school program over the years. When asked what she's proudest of, Mrs. Trank discussed the lifelong connections that she's been able to make with students and families in the Highland community. One example of this can be seen here tonight, actually, in Brittany Jamal, who's also a third grade teacher in our building. And when she attended Highland Elementary School as a student, she had Mrs. Trank as a teacher. And I think that's something that I've seen a number of times, but it really represents that community that's formed within Highland. And with Brittany, you know, when I spoke with her about that experience in being in Mrs. Trank's classroom and then working with Anne-Marie, she said a number of things, such as Mrs. Trank's students always come first, both as she remembers as a student in her class and what she sees as a colleague. Her passion, dedication, hard work, and commitment are just a few of the qualities that make her such a wonderful teacher. She's truly touched the lives of so many students in Highland, including Brittany's. In retirement, Mrs. Trank will be looking into ways to stay involved with education, specifically by sharing her knowledge and experiences at the higher education level. It is with great admiration for your work that I say congratulations and best of luck in retirement.
Mrs. Coburn, if you could come up and join us to honor your retirees.
Good evening again. So first, I would like to talk about Mrs. Riley. So Mrs. Riley has been in Highland Central School District for 31 years, which is absolutely incredible. For those of you who may not know, Mrs. Riley has worked as an aide in all 3 buildings, so she's been throughout Highland Central School District over her 31 years. Most recently, she has been an aide in both the high school and the middle school libraries, helping us to support a very creative solution to keep both the libraries open for our middle school and high school students and keeping it active and inviting for all staff and students. Mrs. Riley is someone who, no matter the circumstance, finds a way to support everyone. And if she doesn't have the immediate solution, she will search, speak to whomever she needs to, advocate to whoever she needs to, and work incredibly hard to make sure each student feels seen, heard, and cared for. Mrs. Riley has always had the student's safety, well-being, social-emotional needs at the forefront of each decision, interaction, and actions that she has made. Ms. Riley has an undeniable and incredible impact on our students, community, and staff, and we wish Mrs. Riley well on her next phase of life, and congratulations on your retirement. All right, Mrs. DeSciullo. You're already causing issues? Okay.
Once in the middle school, always the middle school.
True story. So Mrs. DeSciullo has worked for Highland Central School District for the past 14 and a half years, sorry. For those of you who may not know, Mrs. DeSciullo has served as a teaching assistant for the district. Mrs. DeSciullo may look to have a tough exterior, but let me tell you, she goes over and beyond each day for some of our most struggling students. For the past at least 6 years, Mrs. DeSciullo has overseen our Learning Center / in-school suspension room. About 5 years ago, I worked with Mrs. DeSciullo to develop a place where, yes, if your behavior is warranted, it is in-school suspension, and there's a place for it. But more importantly, this was a space that you could reset, get back on track, and move forward. She helped recognize, put better systems of communication in place, reorganize, and develop a space where students, no matter what happened, knew they were in a safe, caring environment where an adult was going to show up for them, no matter what. Mrs. DeSciullo is flexible, creative, very creative at times, willing to step outside her comfort zone to learn a new strategy or skill to benefit the students, reflective in her own practices, and an incredible employee and friend. I will miss the almost daily interactions that mostly began with me walking into the Learning Center with a student, and immediately she would greet that student, sternly go over the expectations, but then find a way to connect and reestablish a sense of empathy in our students to ultimately help them learn from their experience. The halls of HMS will not be the same without Mrs. DeSciullo, and a little bit quieter. And although we are very happy for her to begin the next phase of her life, I know that the staff and students of HMS will miss her dearly. Congratulations, Mrs. DeSciullo. All right, Mrs. Jensen. We're going to hold it together? Okay. So Mrs. Jensen has worked for the Highland Central School District for the past 20 years. For those of you who may not know, Mrs. Jensen is a guidance counselor at Highland Middle School. Ms. Jensen is one of those people that when you walk into a room, she will be that friendly, welcoming face that will always include you in her group and make you feel a part of her conversation. She is one of the kindest people I've ever met, and she has given her all to the community, students, and staff at HMS. Ms. Jensen and I have become quite close over the past 10 years of us working together at Highland Middle School. She is our master scheduling guru, our New York State testing czar, infamous for her impeccable handwriting, and at the same time, incredibly frustrating because it takes her forever to write a single word. Her ability to organize, reorganize, and then reorganize again a student's locker or book bag without hesitation or frustration demonstrates her uncanny patience with our students in Highland Middle School. Ms. Jensen is always in your corner, encouraging you, offering positive reinforcement, and much needed chocolate if the situation warrants it. And will always say, okay, with a look and sometimes fear, but never doubts or lacks the trust in those around her. Ms. Jensen has an incalculable impact on the entire community of HMS and Highland as a whole. Although we are certainly excited and we wish Ms. Jensen well as she moves into her retirement years, her presence, friendship, and work ethic will be greatly missed. Congratulations on your retirement, Mrs. Jensen. We also have two other retirees that could not be with us this evening. One of them is Mrs. Karen Rogner, who was an aide in our building, and I believe throughout the district. She's also, she served the district for 22 years, so I wanted to say congratulations to her. And Miss Linda Madden, who served 26 and a half years as a science teacher or as K-6 teacher in Highland Central School District. We wish them both well on their adventures, and we thank them for their many, many years of service and dedication to our community. Thank you.
Mr. Zimmer.
Highland High School has two retirees who regretfully could not be with us this evening. Dan Lin taught science at the high school for the past 26 years. Jim Moriarty taught social studies at the high school for the past 29 years. Together, they have given our students 55 years of their lives. Any student who has known either of them know them both as master storytellers, and they have had an immeasurable impact on their students. On behalf of the students and faculty of Highland High School, I wish them happiness and the best of luck as they begin their next chapter and enter retirement. Congratulations.
Mrs. McCarthy, would you like to come up and speak about your person in your department that's going to retire? Or do you want me to do that? I know you don't like to do that. I would like to recognize Mary Ann Lastaglio. She is the senior secretary working in our food service department. Mary Ann has pretty much worked everywhere in our district. She also, for those that might not know, she served on a school board at one point. That's when I first met her in a neighboring district. And she has been an immeasurable help to the food service program. She does all the ordering. She makes sure that the money is correct. Mary Ann, we are truly indebted to the work that you did in our food service department, and we wish you nothing but the best and enjoy those grandchildren. So we have two more retirees. They're part of my leadership team, so I would like to recognize Maria McCarthy, retiring from our food service program as the food service director. Maria has worked in our district for 24 years. She also did a combo job for a while with Ulster Bosse's. She was everywhere, worked in all of the buildings, and oftentimes when we needed her, she was somewhere else. And when they needed her, she was here. We were always thankful to have Maria here. You will not meet a nicer person than Maria McCarthy. Yeah, go ahead. She deserves some applause on that one. If you want to talk about some of the most mundane information about food regulations, Maria knows every single one of them inside and out. And the regulations have changed many times over the years, to to the point where some of us did not like the food because she was not given the product that she needed to do the work that she wanted to do on behalf of our children. But she's creative. She went to, when I was the fifth grade, or when I was the elementary principal, she would come down to our fifth grades and she would do taste testings with them and get their ideas. And she listened to kids want particular types of fruit. So she went out, she got those fruits and put them on our menu. Maria, the students loved when you did that, and that just showed that you went the extra mile. During COVID-19, Maria and her staff were next to none. She was out there in the heat of the day getting those food deliveries ready to go out to families, and I know I speak on behalf of the entire community when I say we are so thankful that you were there to lead that charge because folks needed that help. So thank you, Maria, and good luck. And the last retiree that I'd like to recognize this evening is Carol Potash. Carol is our technology director, and she will be leaving us in a few short weeks over the summer. Carol's been with the district for 12 years. She came in when our technology systems were not necessarily where they needed to be, and through her vision, we were able to get ourselves on a path that moved us forward. Again, during COVID-19, well, Maria, I said you were second to none. I think, Carol, you were probably right in there in the tie, working in the heat of the day, getting those devices ready so that students had machines to work on and getting those hot spots where needed to get them out to the families so that we could keep instruction moving forward for our students. For those that are not aware, Carol is a professional development guru. She likes to look things up, and she likes to pass them on to our teachers and tries to get them new and innovative things for their classrooms. And that just puts us in such a good place moving forward. And Carol, we are truly indebted to all the work that you've done for us, and we wish you nothing but the best in your retirement. And if all the retirees can come on out to the front, Mr. Carnwright can get your picture, that would be great. A long time ago.
There we go.
A lot of paparazzi in this group, so just hold that position.
Congratulations to all of our retirees. And we have one more recognition to make this evening. I'm going to turn it over to the board president, who would like to make a special recognition.
Good evening again. We have one more person leaving the district, leaving her district responsibilities. Sue Gilmore, roughly 12 and a half, 13 years. We pretty much came on the board together, and we've learned to like each other. That's all I can say. And that came pretty quickly. It's all good. It's all good. So I just want to say thank you very much for all the time and effort you've given to us as a Board of Ed member. And are we still on for covering BOCES?
For a little while.
Okay. She's also our board rep to the BOCES school board. So at that point, basically wearing two hats in this position. Again, a lot of time. Thank you very much for everything you've done for our district, and will continue to do.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
We learn to like each other. Thank you.
Hold on.
Please, Sue.
Yes.
I had to write all this down. I told Joel last Friday, it's been a wonderful learning journey. My career was in the private sector, and I worked 47 years in banking. I worked for one of my business customers, as well as a small law firm in the finance department. And so I kind of think in columns and rows, you know, with how my brain works. But the world of education is certainly enriching to me. I have been involved in many business-related organizations throughout my private sector career, covering Ulster, Greene, Dutchess, and Columbia counties, as well as being heavily involved in local chambers. I grew to love small business and what they represent to our country's success, and that's where my drive is. But on the school end, I want to thank all of the extraordinary people that I've met over the years, which include some from the past: Deborah Hobb, Roseanne Bain, Tom Bon Jovi, Patrick Boyd, Sarah Dudley Lemick, and most recently, saving the best for last, Joel Freer. I want to thank all the school building principals, Bill, Kevin, Megan, Andy, Matt, and Tulani, the directors, Karen, Carol, Maria, Pete, Kathy, and Frank, current and former student reps who particularly stood out for me include Katie, Dean, and Maggie. What an incredible team. We've had our highs and lows, and just as I said in Meet the Candidates night, we have a great Board of Education here in Highland. I will sincerely miss my colleagues, Al, Tom, Mike, Camille, Heather, and Ed. And I have to mention Camille. With her encouragement, I began attending our diversity and equity inclusion meetings. And I have to give her a big shout out because it's been an absolute pleasure working with folks who want to make needed change happen in our district. I want to thank Harriet for her outstanding leadership in the committee and the passions of administrators, teachers and staff, parents and community, including Joel, Jill, Matt, Megan, Andy, Adam, Ray, Christine, Jill, and students Kai, Cass, and Day, and Jasleen, who tirelessly work to reset how each of us deal with each other, as well as the day-to-day dealing with our growing diverse student population. Although my votes have not always been in line with the rest of the board, they were always listening. I was always listening to the voice of the students and the wider community. And one thing I've got Kevin Murphy, you said something last week that resonated with me. Or actually it was two things. And Highland is one of the most supportive communities you've ever worked in. I so agree with that. This is why my husband Russ and I have lived and volunteered here for the past 35 years. It is an incredible community. And another thing that you said that resonated with me is top performing students will excel, whether it be extraordinary parenting or simply because of who they are or what inspiration or environment they've had. We've seen that tonight. There's just incredible performing and excelling in their lives. And so, therefore, I think educators need to concentrate their efforts on the majority of students so that they will be productive members of society once they leave K-12. And as a Board of Education member, I've always used kind of that same reasoning when making decisions about spending and borrowing taxpayer money. My focus is not on those folks who pay a lot of money in property taxes, because I know they're very, very fortunate. They've been successful financially, but it's those folks, those young folks and small business owners who may not have, the guaranteed health care, or who may be in a position where they can't meet their bills. That's where I concentrate my vote and why I vote the way I do. And on a more somber note, I feel our district has absolutely excellent security, particularly Mr. Miller. He has given our school top shelf protection. And tragically, seeing that even the best security in Texas just wasn't good enough to protect our precious young and the many other innocents who have lost their lives, including Buffalo, these past 2 months. It's overwhelming to me, and my heart aches for those who have lost children and other families and friends in our country, as well as you here in Highland who send your precious children to school every day. And I recall 10 years ago telling, I think he was Lieutenant Janso back then, I said, if it were up to me, the only people that would possess guns are the police and the military. But that's not going to happen. So, going forward as a district and as a country, if we won't enact federal laws to ban assault weapons, raise age to 21 to buy guns, have red flag notifications, enact universal background checks, ban purchase of military protective gear, etc., we should begin paying very close attention to those young students and other young people who may feel lost, who may feel lonely, who may feel they don't belong anywhere. It matters. We know that now. Patrick, you've done a wonderful job in ensuring that we have the services needed, and no one should ever feel stigmatized for seeing a counselor during the school day. That should never, ever come into play for any student. Ending up, I feel so fortunate to have served in this position for so long. I came here with knowing no one, to meeting such wonderful, dedicated folks, whether they be administration, staff, student, or parents. And I also hope that my efforts were shown to be in the best interest of students, the district, and the community as a whole. And it's truly been a wonderful experience, and thank you.
Motion.
Second.
Heather and Ed. Good evening, remaining attendees to the meeting. Thank you for staying. Right now, we are at the public comments part of our agenda. And during public comments, I have a few things I want to go over first before Anybody comes up to speak? Public comments. Any topic related to the agenda may be addressed except for personnel or specific student issues. The school board encourages public participation at its meetings to allow for efficiency in conducting meetings and to give each speaker a fair opportunity to present their views. The following shall apply to the public speaking portion of the agenda. Each speaker shall state their name. Any questions/concerns be submitted in writing with speaker's contact information as far as name, address, and phone numbers. Each speaker shall be limited to a time. We might adjust that number that we have written in this agenda, and I'll judge that by when we finally open it up for public comments. I might ask everybody who plans on speaking to either raise their hand or line up behind whoever the first speaker is. Okay, so bear with us on that. Thank you. The board will not permit discussion involving individual personnel or students. Direct all remarks to the chair. Community members may not poll individual board members nor debate other community members in attendance. Once again, members of the community are encouraged to attend and speak during public comments. Undue interruption or other interference with the orderly conduct of the Board of Education business will not be allowed. Defamatory or abusive remarks are always out of order. While individuals have the right to email the board with questions or concerns at any time, the board will not read emails aloud during the public participation portion of the meeting. If you send us emails, we do read them, okay? So just be comforted in knowing that. So at this time, just a brief showing of hands, if you can, and just let me know if you're planning on speaking.
That's 7.
Okay, I think at that point we're going to stay at 5 minutes, okay? Thank you for your cooperation on that. First up.
Good evening. My name is Gina Hansett, and I am a proud graduate of this school district, realizing tonight it was 41 years ago this month that I graduated from here. I currently work in special education in the Marlborough Central School District, where I've been for almost 20 years. I also hold the seat of Ulster County Legislature, District 10, which is comprised of the town of Lloyd and the northern end of Marlborough. In addition, I am the Deputy Chair of the Law Enforcement and Public Safety Committee for Ulster County, a position I take seriously and with honor. In Ulster County, we have 10 school districts as well as our BOCES program. On a side note is that Ellenville is in the process of hiring SROs for their district. There are 3 districts that don't have their own police departments, and they have turned to our sheriff's department to provide them. Last month, the legislative body voted on them, and they were all approved. That leaves 2 districts without SROs, and we are one of them. As stated, I work in a school district that has an SRO presence in our buildings. I also know what it is like to hear over the PA system, locked down, and to scoop up my 2nd and 3rd graders in a corner and keep them quiet and safe. So I get it. I cannot tell you how valuable the SROs have been in our buildings, especially through COVID. Their role has become even more vital. Do I wish we never had to have this conversation? Absolutely. I wish that we lived in a society where these problems did not exist. But the reality is, we do. I believe it would be extremely irresponsible of us to not take the steps to be prepared in securing our schools. The main goal of these officers is simple: to keep our children safe. SROs are an integral part in ensuring the physical safety of a school building and all inside, and also to welcome and mentor students. They foster relationships that truly can make a difference. The officers are selected, specifically trained, continue ongoing education, and partner with school leaders. 1,000 times over, I would rather see an officer in one of our buildings have a quiet, mundane day without incident than have one where we didn't have a plan in place and painfully regret we did not. I have worked closely with Chief Janso, Superintendent Freer, Board President Miller, and will continue to do so to help make sure our children, parents, and families can rest easy when they send their students off to school. We, as a district, have to take the steps of safety first. I 100% support the SRO program for our district. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Everett Erickson, and I am a proud parent of a student in the Highland Central School District and a future student of the Highland Central School District. I would like to start off by thanking you for your commitment to our students and creating a learning environment that allows them to grow and mature. I've had the distinct opportunity throughout my scholastic career of studying abroad for a few years, and I'm very happy to say that I am a proud graduate of the Highland Central School District. Over the past 15 years, I have served in all aspects of the world of emergency services. And I've had this distinct opportunity to work alongside the law enforcement, fire, EMS agencies that provide services to our community. And I'm here to support the establishment of a school resource officer program within the Highland Central School District. This is something the district has lacked for many years, and is unfortunate that high-profile shootings in the United States and growing concerns of school violence is what brings us back to the agenda. Implementing an effective SRO program that supports positive development of youth is an essential part of youth justice reform. School resource officers are educators that can implement evidence-based curricula such as the Ovelis Bullying Prevention Program, Second Step, and Gang Resistance Education and Training, known as GREAT. Teach students about criminal investigation, laws and constitutional rights, law enforcement as a career, substance abuse, conflict resolution, and restorative justice and youth-relevant crimes such as dating violence. Spending time in the classroom also serves to build positive relationships between law enforcement and youth. Creating an effective SRO program begins with a strong relationship between the school and the law enforcement agency that defines the multifaceted role of the SRO as an educator, informal counselor, and law enforcement problem solver. When youth are guided about a variety of challenging issues, such as underage drinking and stressful life situations, students can come to trust SROs to answer questions and address problems, which in turn enables the officers to identify at-risk students early. These relationships also allow SROs to intervene before issues escalate, refer students to appropriate resources such as mental and behavioral services within and outside of school, as well as divert them from the juvenile justice system. In settings where SRO programs are well governed and SROs are well chosen and well trained, they can achieve positive outcomes. They can focus on prevention and early intervention. This is a positive shift in the law enforcement role from reactive, responding to problems as they occur, to proactive, identifying and altering the conditions that create school safety issues. I appreciate your attention to this matter and have the confidence in the Highland Central School District Board of Education, its administration, and the law enforcement community that serves our district, that it would be able to establish an SRO program for our students and the community that will create a positive impact. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Christine Giangrasso. I have been with the Highland Central School District since 2009, and I've worked in every building. I am a monitor at the elementary school, and I am out there every day with about approximately 53 children, open game in a field. Those children mean everything to me. They are my peeps. I call them my babies. They are a huge responsibility for me, and I take that very seriously. And when I'm out there, I am defense. I am always defense. I trust nothing, and I am alert, and my eyes are always moving. And if you watch the films, you'll see Mrs. Giangrasso all over the place. I believe in the SRO program. I took a police civilian course with the town of Lloyd, 5-week program. I have a pistol permit and a license. I believe in the Second Amendment. However, whatever that is for everybody else, I don't know. But I believe that this should be Highland Central School District, people of action. And we need to not say, oh, it's Highland, this couldn't happen here. That is in big, bold letters, ignorance, and ignorance could create a fatality. We need to take action. We need to take care of our children. Like I said, they're all my kids. And I take a lot of pride in what I do, and I have a very big responsibility. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Linda DiLorenzo. I have lived in Highland for almost 50 years. I have 3 girls who have gone through the safe Highland school doors many years ago in a world that was so very different. A world I wish this generation could have. I am a grandmother of 6, 4 of whom are going to school now in this district, through the very same doors that their mothers did. But with much more uncertainty and very disturbing times. Sorry. We do live in such uncertain times. All of these mass shootings, Columbine, Sandy Hook, Parkland, Florida, recently Texas, such heartbreak. We cannot get complacent, which does happen. We hear about it, we carry it with us, but yet we go on with our lives. A lot needs to be done. I understand it can't happen overnight, but why not, Highland? We need change now. Change is hard, but we can do it. This is for our children, the people we trust our children to every day, and our community. Ideally, I'd like to see it started, like everyone has said, with the SRO program. Metal detectors. For me, I feel there's nothing to think about. Just do it. Act now. Start here, then we can proceed with other ideas. Please believe me when I say I never want to see anyone hurt, let alone killed in our schools. However, if one bullet was used to stop a horrific massacre in Highland, wouldn't you say it was worth it? Yep. I would. I do want to say I respect all opinions and voices. It is your right. I felt the same way at one time before I took a very intensive gun training course. I learned a lot. I learned how to respect a weapon, in which I do, as I carry a concealed pistol permit. Don't think for 1 second that I wouldn't use it to save or protect one of your children. Remember, it's not the gun, it's the person using the gun.
Amen.
This is just a side note that came into my head. I'm not a professional writer, but I feel it sort of ties in. For those of you who've been here a while, there were so many fatalities by the Lowe's on 299 for years before a traffic light was put in. Let's not let this happen at school. I was thinking, I'm sure all of these past schools who have had these deadly shootings thought, not our school. But you know what? Highland is no exception.
Right.
It can happen here. Our community would be changed forever. So for those of you that veto a safety plan like this, just think of not tucking your children in tonight and saying good morning tomorrow. Thank you.
I'm Neil Richter. I got a little bit of allergy problem, but I'll try to talk. It's probably better that way, right, Joel? You know, I've heard speakers up here tonight, and it all boils down to common sense. It's a different world out there. It's crazy. Something nobody thinks about. I drove school bus 4 years for Valley Central, 1 year here. Valley Central, I had one stop, 17 kids on Route 17, 17 kids. Didn't know the route. I was handed a route in the morning, go do it. I'm dropping these kids off in the afternoon. Buku parents out there. I didn't even know which kid belonged to the parent. Here I am on 17 on my radio saying, I can't release these kids. I don't know who I'm releasing them to. Think how dangerous that is, right? But we do it. It's crazy. But as far as my wife and I, about 30 years ago, went to Kingston to the mall. You might remember. Right on 9W, just about turning the mall. Traffic comes to a halt. Next thing you know, it was a war zone. A kid shot the mall up. Wounded, I don't know how many people. A soldier lost his leg. It was unbelievable. Like something in Vietnam. Terrible. It could happen here. You know, it's a different world. All it takes is one kid. But, you know, that's the other thing. If I had any advice to the students, you know, you got ears. I used to hear things on the bus. And that's one of the things bus drivers taught. You hear things on the bus, take them seriously. You hear a kid, another kid talking about doing some things, let somebody know about it. But this SRO program, it's long overdue. We need it in Highland. I think it's imperative because Robert Frost, the poet, said, some men see things the way they are and say, why? I see things that never were and say, why not? Why not? Thank you.
My name is Joe Curry. I'm a pastor at Calvary Chapel Highland here. As of May 25th, there have been 27 school shootings so far this year. Since 2018, there have been 119 school shootings in this country. As Mrs. Hansen had eloquently said, there are only two school districts that do not have SRO programs, us and New Paltz. Everyone else has an SRO program. I'm going to share something out of the Washington Post, if I may. A sober reality for local officials across the nation. They say they are pessimistic that a federal or even state-level solution to the violence is forthcoming. Instead, armed with little more than fresh outrage, elected officials, police chiefs, like our police chief here, and school leaders, yourselves, are scrambling to find other ways to keep their own communities from becoming the next to be shattered in the country's unrelenting season of bloodshed. Besides beefing up response plans and fortifying potential targets, this is one thing we're overlooking as well, is we need a mental health service plan. And I know it's hard because there are so many children that need help, and there are not enough psychologists and psychiatrists to help them in this country. And that is one of the things we also need to address. But we do need to see an SRO program in this school. I was watching some of the board meetings, and it was said that in a small town community of Highland, why is this even coming up? Route 9, if you ask the chief of police, have him tell you the drug deals that are going on along those motels along Route 9 during the day and at night. Highland is not Mayberry RFD anymore. We love this community. There is no racism in this community. We love each other, but it is a dangerous community, especially along that Route 9 corridor. And it doesn't get in the paper that these officers put their lives on the line every single day. I was a little bothered by the letter that came from the Diversity, Inclusion, and Racial Equity. And the letter said, to embed police in our schools is fraught with implicit bias. I take issue with that. That suggests that people can act on the bias of prejudice and stereotype. I know the majority of the people in this community, and I know these police officers, and they are anything but racist. They love each and every child that's in this community, as well as all you do, and so do we. It went on to say that to embed police in our schools is fraught with implicit bias that will result in surveillance and profiling that criminalizes childlike behavior for some students and contributes to the prison pipeline that distargets poor children and children of color. That's a narrative straight out of, I'm not even going to tell you where, you know where it is. That's the narrative that's going around in this country, but that is not true in Highland. We don't see color in Highland. We love our children. We love these kids, and we love our police. When my daughter went to this school, all these doors were locked, and I had to go through the front door when I picked her up early, and I had to knock on the door. And y'all remember Sergeant Wade, okay? And he would be the first one that would let me in, okay? Every door was locked. I'm sorry, I have to look this way. I want to tell you what, while I was waiting by the door, every student that ran by, hey, Sarge, hey, Sarge, hey, Sarge. The police are here to build relationships and not create racism. They're not going to be doing profiling and surveillance. They want to work with our children to get to know them. We are a community that loves each other. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gina Vaccarino, and I am also a graduate of this community. And soon, the next generation is going to be starting kindergarten here. I didn't prepare anything written because I wasn't sure if I was going to speak or not, but I wanted to address a few things and say that I'm lucky enough to be married to a police officer that keeps us very safe, one with over 20 years experience. And I know at home we are safe because of his diligence. But when I send my daughter out into school, I don't know that she has those same securities. I know that you all will try your best, but you don't have the training that he does. Before we've been together over 10 years. Before I met my husband, I had no idea. So I don't expect most other civilians to even understand it. Until you are intimate with that, you don't understand how dangerous their job is. You don't understand what goes on in this community. Just a few days ago in New Paltz, they apprehended 3 armed suspects who were doing home invasions all over this county. It's here. So to think and be naive that it wouldn't happen here is a grave mistake. And I would rather know that my daughter has a fighting chance if something were to happen. And that goes beyond just school shootings. That could just be, like we said, bullying or fighting or other issues that could happen. I would rather have somebody who has the training in those situations to be present immediately. And Sue Gilmore, you mentioned that before, that you wish those things didn't happen. You wish there was stronger gun control. Absolutely, no one's opposing that. But the grave reality is that whether that control is there or not, people who do bad things still have the guns. And we, as a community, are still in danger. And you also mentioned that you wish that only police officers and military had the guns. So here's a perfect opportunity to have a police officer with a gun who is trained to use it in the right circumstances present in our schools. I just wanted to mention one other note, and then I'll turn over. But there was comments and about it not being racially equitable, and personally, I find that statement to be racist because you're implying that the officer who is going to be implemented here couldn't be Black, Hispanic, a female, gay, any of those things. You're saying that, who's to say that the officer here isn't one of those minorities? I'm going to end with, I'm not saying that there won't be issues, right? Any new program is going to have its issues. And I'm not saying that there aren't going to be students who feel threatened by it. But at the end of the day, I would rather their feelings hurt than their life be taken. Because I think that their life is more important than what we need to work through to get there. So that's all I have for today.
Good evening. My name is Kenneth Boughton. I live in Highland for about 7.5 years, and actually live in Ulster County probably about 57 of my 62 years, and served in the Navy for 4 years. I've had a brother who was an officer of the law in Kingston for 31 years. I don't believe he ever shot anyone either. Probably came close, but thank God it didn't have to happen. His name is Roger Boughton. Now he serves part-time in Saugerties, and he's all over the place. He's a pretty busy guy. But I just say, in the atmosphere that we live in now, I think due diligence is something, even in our own homes. I mean, I had heard, I don't know if it's in gospel or whatever, that they dropped a lot of immigrants off in our county recently. I don't know where, but I've heard it. But I don't know. I can't say for sure, but. It's just kind of scary days that we live in, and even in our homes, I think we're all feeling a little bit more uneasy like even in our own homes, feeling like we have to make sure that we feel safe in our own homes. And it's different, you know, it's a whole different, you know, demeanor in our lives, in our whole country ever since the COVID thing and all the riots we had in different cities and stuff. I feel like to some degree the government was not responsible enough to, you know, to take on these challenges. Like my son lives in Portland, Oregon, and he had to move out of the city because these rioters and the people that were really just going crazy and destroying government buildings and, you know, hurting police and hurting anybody that was in their path. He had to sell his house and move 5 miles out to Lake Oswego because it was just so unsafe. And I feel like that we need, as people, just common sense. You know, like I said, I served our country, helped keep the sea lanes open for trade around the world for 4 years, and I'm so, you know, grateful that I was able to do that. But I really feel like we do need this SRO program because, you know, my children are all grown up now, and I have grandchildren, one grandchild in the Saugerties, you know, school district, and my other granddaughter, she's in Puerto Rico. But I really feel like that we live in such a place that if we do not implement safety measures that are going to really protect, then we then become responsible to some degree, all of us, you know, responsible to some degree that, you know, why did we not after the fact, as this young lady just shared, and you know, I really believe in my heart of hearts that, no, you know, I never have had to seriously hurt anyone in my life, and I never, you know, like as a kid, you got in a couple, you know, stupid fights, but I really believe that, you know, we as responsible men and women of this community, we really need to have a responsibility to protect those that are the most vulnerable. And if we don't protect those that are the most vulnerable, then that does make us responsible for, you know, the things that could happen, and it's no judgment call on anyone's character, unless we really don't move to do this in our community. That is, I believe it's vital, just like in our homes. If somebody were going to come and break in my home, I'm sorry to say, but I'm prepared. I do not want to hurt anyone. But if I'm not prepared to take care of my wife and to protect her, you know, I mean, then what kind of man am I? You know what I'm saying? So I really do believe that we have to do what's right and have a, you know, the conscience and the will and the, you know, the fortitude to stand up and do what's right. And I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Hi, how are you? My name is Angela Chenery. I'm a lifelong resident. Came to school here, graduated from here. I now have a little boy who goes to kindergarten, and I'm nervous. I'm scared. Every time I drop him off, I get him an extra kiss because you just don't know. So my thoughts are not too much different than everybody else's here. I want to make sure that my son comes home safe, that the faculty is safe, all the teachers that love our kids and teach them are safe. And I don't see a reason why we can't have an SRO officer in the schools. I just don't understand why we wouldn't do it. And so I really hope that everybody thinks about it very good and does the right thing. That's all I really have.
Sorry. Hello, good evening. Wasn't planning on saying much this evening. My name's Cliff Johnson. I am a resident of Highland. My son attends as a student in the district. Just wanted to echo the sentiments and support for the SRO program as stated by some of the previous speakers this evening. No matter your personal feelings on gun control or your political inclinations, I think there's one thing that we can all agree on is that our children are, our children and their futures are our greatest commodity, right? Our children and their futures are our most precious commodity, and they should be protected at all costs, no matter the cost. At this point, programs such as the SRO program should not be considered luxuries or optional. They should be considered necessities. Again, us keeping it short, just a reminder, our children and their futures are our most precious commodities. Thank you. Have a good evening.
I know I didn't raise my hand, but could I have a moment? My name is Leonard Achmoody. I've actually lived here for 74 years. Mr. Boughton, I'd like to thank you for your service. One thing that everybody has spoken about, I don't think any of us can take it away. You heard the emotion, the compassion. But one thing that nobody has mentioned about an SRO officer, they're here. There's no response time. I think that's one thing that everybody has to think about. I know this system that's going to be in place or that wants to be put in place right now is probably not every day, not every school, but I think in time we can work that out. But that was the one thing that I would like to say, that it's response time, because we don't know where that officer is. 911, it goes through dispatch, it takes time to go back out, and it takes them time to get here. If the officer is here, if something should happen, God forbid, they're here. And one other thing I'd like to say, our police department, for the small town that we have, those of you that don't know, I'm sorry I'm turning my back on you, but those of you that don't know our police officers, you should get to know them. There's not another small community anywhere around here that has a police department that's good, that is as good as those guys are. Thank you all. God bless.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak?
Am I allowed to go one more time quick? 2 minutes?
Sure. Go ahead.
I would just like to say the time to act is tonight. It's not tomorrow. It's not the next day. It's tonight. So we are asking that a vote go forward tonight so that we all, if you vote yes for SRO, can sleep safely tonight. What do you guys think?
That'll be the end of public comments, right? Again, I'll go one more time. Anybody? Thank you. At this point in time on our agenda, we are up to our principal reports. Please keep them short.
Hey again. So I don't have any additions to my report this month. I did want to just clarify with the rain on Thursday. We did change our field day to Friday, which was the rain date. So that was put out to our parents this evening, just to make you all aware of it as well. And any questions about the board report that was sent for this month?
No questions.
No.
Thank you all.
Matt.
Thank you.
Good evening again. Just one quick addition. I wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Rizzi and the 7th and 8th grade marching band. They did a phenomenal job over the Memorial Day weekend, leading in our Highland Fire Department. So I just wanted to give them a big shout out and congratulations to them and all their hard work. Anything else? Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Coburn. I have two brief additions to the high school principal's report. On Wednesday, May 25th, Highland High School students paid tribute to those who lost their lives during service to our country during our annual Memorial Day Assembly, which was held at 9:30 a.m. out in front of the school. The event began with a moving trumpet rendition of the national anthem played by Assistant Principal Kevin Murphy and continued with a moment of silence honoring former Highland High School students who passed away while serving in the United States military. The assembly, which took place right in front of our school, featured patriotic performances by our band and choir. Our guest speaker was Lenny Auchmuty, a longtime American Legion member who also serves as a councilman and deputy supervisor for the town of Lloyd. Mr. Auchmuty spoke to the students about freedom and the value of hard work. To close out the ceremony, students were encouraged to take time out of their Memorial Day weekend to reflect on all those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Ulster BOCES Career Tech announced their valedictorian for their class of 2022. And once again, it's a Highland High School student. I am proud to report that their valedictorian is our very own senior, Kylie Sowers. Kylie is a student in the digital design program. Congratulations to Kylie Sowers and best of luck in her future endeavors. And that's all I have for you this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick comment for all of the administrators and faculty and staff. I think we have done a fantastic job getting our students back to the field trips that they deserve. It was a long time coming. I think everybody's really enjoying it and really gives them a taste of going back to the normal. So thank you to everybody for getting those in place on short notice.
This request right now is of the Board of Ed. Do we have any questions for any of our directors regarding their reports?
I would just have one comment for Karen. It was the report that you gave us in regard to the test refusals. I see a really good trend here, and that was really nice to see. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for any of the directors? Thank you. At this point in time, we are at the consent part of our agenda. And as I look at it now, I'm looking at items A1 through C11. Do any board members at this point in time want to or have us pull any items?
I'd like to pull varsity boys basketball head coach for the winter season.
I would like to pull the varsity softball head coach.
Anything else? Okay. A1 through C11 minus those two items. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Ed, second by Heather. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 7-0, Lisa. Thank you. Okay, now, being that those two items were pulled, we have to vote on them individually, okay? And I have to read a few words here prior to that. Yeah. I got it. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approves the following coaching position appointments for the 2022-23 school year, as according to the HTA contract of 2018 to 2023. This resolution will be in effect only if the sport team fulfills the season. Okay. It'll be, one item here is for Michael Millman, varsity boys basketball head coach, effective November 14th, 2022. Can I have a motion, please? Camille? Sue? Any discussion regarding this position? Or all in favor? Who's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mike? And opposed?
Opposed.
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 That passed 4-3. Thank you. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approves the following coaching position appointments for the 2022-23 school year as according to the HTA 2018 to 2023 contract. This resolution will be in effect only if the sport team fulfills this season. And that coach that we were looking to place is Kathleen Canosa. This is for the varsity softball head coach position, effective March 13th, 2023. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Al?
Second.
Camille? Any discussion on this? Okay. In favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed.
Passed 5-2. Thank you. Go ahead.
Give me a second. So, Mr. President, I believe we have a few, sorry, this agenda is quite long, so give me 1 second. A few folks in the audience who have been appointed this evening. We'd like to congratulate Mr. Kevin Murphy, will be our new high school principal. And also with us this evening is Miss Lindsay Idell, who will be our new school business administrator. And also with us this evening, Mr. Thomas Connor Kenny, our new school counselor at the middle school. I think I got everyone that's in attendance. Is there anyone that I missed? I apologize. There's so many folks that I can't see past some. Thank you. Congratulations and welcome to the Highland School District. Actually, all three of them have been in the Highland School District, so they didn't need to be welcomed. But thank you for taking on your new roles.
No,
Business and
on D, under business and operations. Okay. Bond resolution, buses. Bond resolution dated June 7th, 2022 of the Board of Education of the Highland Central School District authorizing not to exceed $322,000 aggregate principal amount of serial general obligation bonds to finance the purchase of school buses and vehicles at an estimated maximum cost of $322,000. Levy of tax in annual installments and payment thereof, the expenditure of such sum for such purpose, and determining other matters in connection therewith. Lisa?
Okay, at this point, I'm going to ask for a roll call. Just state yes or no after I mention your name. Camila Doma?
Yes.
Mike Bakaxias?
Yes.
Alan Barone?
Yes.
Ed Mizell.
Yes.
Heather Welch.
Yes.
Tom Miller.
Yes.
Sue Gilmore.
Yes.
Okay, that's all in favor, 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, health and welfare contract. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approves the attached 2021 to 2022 health and welfare contract with Spack and Kill Union-Free School District as presented to the board at this meeting.
Motion.
Motion? Any second? Second. Camille? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. 7-0. Acceptance of donation. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, accepts the donation from the Highland Educational Foundation in the amount of $8,837.61 for the purpose to support teacher grants. Motion, please. Heather? Second, Mike? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you.
Mr. President, I would just like to jump in there and thank the Highland Education Foundation, for all the parents that came out and community members that supported our spring gala, which raised the money for those teacher grants. So thank you to the Education Foundation. Please look forward to their next event next year. We look forward to having all of you in attendance at that. Thank you so much.
Okay, budget transfer. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approves the budget transfer for the 2021-2022 school year as follows. Transfer number 10215, amount $33,000, purpose to cover the cost of implementing a timekeeping module in WinCap. Transfer number 10221, amount $95,000, purpose to cover the cost of retiree payouts, such as retirement incentives and vacation and sick day payouts. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Mike? Second, Al? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 7-0. Internal risk assessment, procurement, audit, corrective action plan. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Highland Central School District acknowledges receipt of and accepts the internal risk audit risk assessment, procurement, audit, and procurement audit corrective action plan of the district auditors, Raymond G. Pruser, CPA, PC, for the school year 2020-2021, and a corrective action plan, and gives its authorization to file this resolution with the Commissioner of Education. Motion, please.
Motion.
Ed and Heather. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 7-0. Thank you. Balance transfer. ECA transfer correction. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approves the following balance transfer as presented to the board at this meeting. Transfer of $931.99 from CM002DW, which is building use deposits, to the Ski Club ECA account. Motion, please.
Motion.
Mike?
Second.
Second, Camille. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried, 7-0. Thank you. Clerk's report, results from the May 17, 2022 annual meeting and board election. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, upon recommendation of the superintendent, accepts the below figures as the official results from the May 17, 2022 annual meeting and board election. Proposition 1, number 1, school district budget. $48,998,581. Yes, 693. No, 249. This passed with a simple majority vote. Thank you, by the way. Can I have I've got to read one more here. Proposition number 2, school bus purchase, $322,000. Yes, 669. No, 272. That passed. Results from the Board of Trustee elections. Name of candidate, total votes, and incumbent or elected. Janine Gemmel, 431 votes, elected. Thomas Miller, 619 votes, incumbent. Simone Stewart, 210 votes. Susan Gilmore, 394. Can I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Al?
Second.
Ed? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. 7-0. So, we are now down to your last official act as part of this board. Again, Maggie, it's been a pleasure to have you on the board. Really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. My computer actually died, so I'm just going to be reading off my phone. For the elementary school, this Thursday, like Mr. Darling said, I'm sorry, it's now June 10th, Friday, the elementary school students are having their field day, and the art teacher down at the elementary school actually asked some of the Interact members from the high school to go down and help out with that. So they'll be helping out with face paint and arts and crafts and things like that. At the middle school, the HMS staff is planning an end-of-the-year picnic/field day on the last day of school as a fun send-off for all the middle school students. The day will consist of games such as kickball, ultimate frisbee, wiffle ball, basketball, as well as some fun carnival-style games. At the high school, we had field day a couple weeks ago, and it was a lot of fun. And something we did new this year was a lot of clubs set up different stations to sell food for their club to raise money. And lunch staff cooked burgers and hot dogs, and field games were set up, and it was a lot of fun. The next couple of days, seniors have a lot going on. Tomorrow we have our junior-senior powder puff game. On Tuesday the 14th, we have our senior walk through the middle school and elementary school. And then that same night, we have our senior boat cruise before we graduate on June 23rd. From June 15th to June 17th, the art club will be painting their Highland mural on the rail trail. And finally, it was announced today that the high school yearbook has been dedicated to Patrick Gethings, the high school custodian. If any of you know Patrick, you know how much he deserves this dedication. And finally, I just want to say thank you to all of you. I've learned so much as the Board of Ed representative, and I can't wait to bring all that I've learned onto college next year. So thank you again.
Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources and Pupil Personnel. Patrick?
I'll be quick, too.
I was going to say, you're not going to tell him to be quick?
I knew what he was thinking.
He's quick.
Just to point out, in my report, I mentioned the IDEA grants and the Title ESSA grants. I gave the 3 past years of what we've been allocated and that what we apply for. Just as a reminder, the majority of those grants do help fund our teacher salaries. So the IDEA grants are for our special education teachers, and our ESSA grants help provide some of our AIS supports and some of our other teachers. And just for another couple of numbers, we met with our new Medicaid representative. It's still the same agency. We just had a new representative that we met with for the first time today. And he provided our most updated numbers for claims, and I just wanted to share them with you. In the 2018-19 school year, we had $72,000 in revenue. In 1920, it was $83,000. In 2021, 2021, it was $105,000, and at this point this year, we are at $187,000. And that is a complete tribute to Ms. Bezad in my office and all of our service providers who have been extremely diligent in documenting the services that they provide and meeting all the extensive criteria that they require to receive that Medicaid revenue. So a big kudos to them for their hard work and really improving the amount of revenue that we provide, or that we get from those services. So I want to thank them because it is a very time-consuming process and very extensive. So a big thank you for them.
Phenomenal job. I know there was many years ago, I remember sitting in executive session as we were talking, thinking that there was extra revenue there, and you guys have shown that, so awesome job.
Keep the grant money coming.
I'll try.
Okay, so I too will try to keep it short. I did receive something today from the Town of Lloyd Town Board, and this will take place at the June 15th meeting at the Town of Lloyd board meeting. They will be discussing the new local law, the provision for placement of marijuana establishments in appropriate places. They have a whole flyer here on what the definitions are, and they're asking all interested persons and citizens that shall have an opportunity to question the Town of Lloyd Board. Will have that opportunity that evening on their proposal, and I will be making I will be writing them a letter about, obviously, I don't want those establishments placed anywhere near our schools. They have language in here that speaks to that, but I'm going to write something on behalf of our school district that we don't want them near our schools. So I'll include this in my Friday updates so that you all have a copy of it. I typically don't read comments out, but I think this one's especially important. Dear Mr. Freer and the Highland Board of Education, it was an honor to represent the Highland Central School District at the Distinguished Friend of Education's Awards Dinner. It was such a lovely evening. Thank you so much for your nomination. As I said at the dinner, I do not volunteer to get recognition, but it is very much appreciated. I am looking forward to working with you and the Highland High School PTSA for the next 3 years while Liam is still in high school. Sincerely, Claire Van Valkenburg. So just goes again to the statement that Mr. Bacazzi made earlier. It runs in the family. Just a couple of dates. Thank you to the music department at the elementary school for running last night's concert. We have 2 more concerts this week, middle school tomorrow, high school on Thursday. The annual Highland High School graduation walk will be back again this year on Tuesday morning, June 14th. It will go through all 3 of our buildings, and we very much look forward to that. Also, on June 15th at the town board meeting, we will also be recognizing our class of 22 valedictorian and salutatorian. I know the high school principal and assistant principal and myself will be in attendance for that. I'm not going to read all these dates, but I know the board, you've received these, all of the different celebrations that BOCES is having for our students this year. It's not just one individual ceremony. There's a whole plethora of events going on at Ulster BOCES to honor the students of Ulster County, so I encourage you to take a look at that. We will be recognizing our high school valedictorian and salutatorian on Thursday morning at breakfast at Ulster BOCES, along with Maggie Van Valkenburg as our student recognition award. Again, I say this every month, but I just want to draw attention to the fact that our district administrators and our school building administrators have done a great job of keeping our website dates up to date, so please encourage parents and community to take a look at those dates. If anything changes, that will be the first place that those changes are noted. I know it's in our agenda this evening, but it's important that we announce publicly that our Board of Education reorganization meeting will take place on July 1st at 9 a.m. And just a special thanks and appreciation to the high school staff and volunteers that came out to support our high school students on Friday evening. I heard there was it was a great event. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend this year. I had an event for my own daughter, but thank you to the administration and teachers that came out and made sure that our students had a safe and enjoyable senior event. And also thank you to our students for making great decisions that evening. As a first-time superintendent, I was very nervous about what was going to happen on prom night, but you guys rose to the challenge, so please take that back to the seniors and tell them how much I'm proud of them. And I think that's it.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we are, right? Exactly. Reorganization meeting. Be resolved that the Board of Education, upon recommendation of the superintendent, approves the reorganizational Board of Education meeting for the 2022-2023 school year to take place at the high school on July 1st, 2022 at 9 a.m. Motion.
Move it.
Al? Heather? Any discussion?
Will we have a quorum?
I
hope so.
believe so. I thought we had checked.
I plan on attending.
I thought we had checked that.
Yeah. We got at least 4.
I'll be flying, so I can either video in if we need it for quorum.
Will you be there?
I'll be there.
You'll be there. You'll be there. Janine will be there, I believe.
Janine, Camille? No? Okay. So
She'll be there.
Janine will be there. We will have a quorum.
We will have a quorum. All right. Let's, do I have a motion?
You did.
You did that already. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No. Thank you. Okay. Establishment of a new club. Be resolved that the Board of Education, upon a recommendation of the superintendent, approves the attached HTA Memorandum of Agreement effective 2022-2023, as well as the following appointment of club advisor as follows. The new club would be the Elementary School Art Club, stipend of $1,176. The employee would be Casey Gallagher, and this is per HTA contract from 2018 to 2023. Motion.
Motion.
Ed? So, any discussion? All in favor?
Just, I just wanted to make a quick question. So this club was in existence for the prior year, right, as per terms of the contract?
Correct.
Right. It did the 1 year on the house, right?
Yep. Then, perfect.
Okay. Took a vote. All in favor? Let's hear it again.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Just want to double check. All right, math curriculum, elementary school. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approves the K-6 math curriculum known as Houghton Mifflin Harcourt's Into Math Program, effective 2022-2023 school year. Motion, please.
Motion.
That should be corrected to K5.
K5.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. It happens.
We got Sue and Ed.
Okay.
Sue and Ed.
Sue and Ed, and all in favor?
Well, I have a question.
Oh, you have a question?
Is there not, we don't have to put a cost here for the new program? I mean, we're approving it. I know we previewed it, but no?
We didn't for the middle school one.
Okay.
I mean, we have all that information.
Okay.
And they're ready to move on that tomorrow.
But it's not required for the resolution?
I don't believe so.
Okay, thank you.
We'll do it then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, we need to.
Yes, exactly. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 7-0. Got it. Establishment of summer strength training coach. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, upon recommendation of the superintendent, approves the establishment of summer strength training coach effective June 28, 2022 through August 11, 2022 as per the attached proposal. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, with said coach approval, appoint the following employee as follows. John Kenny, position, summer strength training coach, and the rate is $33 per hour, maximum of 5 hours per day, 3 days a week. Motion, please. Mike?
Second.
Ed? Any discussion? All in favor?
Yeah, I'd just like to add something to this, that the school district has been, moving our athletic program in the right direction. Several years ago, we increased compensation for our coaches. In our last project, we established a training facility for our student athletes. We took over the tennis courts and made it a turf training field. In our current proposed proposition bond issue coming up October 18th, we have Proposition 2, which will include a new athletic facility, which is increasing our turf, changing our current football, lacrosse, soccer field into a turf field, reestablishing our track, increasing our bleacher capacity, and establishing a concession stand and storage area. So this is just another layer of the board committing to improving our athletic program. I hope the coaches realize what we're doing for that program. And I hope the participation from coaches and the student athletes are well attended for this training session. I mean, this is just going to build our program for the future. So I'm in favor of it, and I hope that they understand that we are moving in the right direction to try to improve our athletic program.
We included outdoor facilities, restrooms in that particular plan?
Yes, yeah, I said concession stand, storage, and restrooms, correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. We just need a vote on this, so all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Anybody opposed? No? 7-0. Thank you. Okay. Old business. SRO. We had discussion earlier on this.
I'd like to start off a quick conversation. If everybody remembers, those that were on the board, January 4th, 2013, 20 days after Sandy Hook, I sat in Tom Miller's position as president of this board. I opened the meeting up and said, the landscape of America has changed for school settings. And that current board at that time made a commitment, and I followed through with that commitment subsequent years as president. Right after that meeting, which was well attended by community members, we had, I think, 4 or 5 police departments here. We kind of promised the district, the community, that we would do whatever we could to safeguard our students and staff. Since then, we have added the 3 security individuals at each one of our buildings. We, at a previous capital project, we installed secured vestibules. We also increased our camera coverage. We installed card access to all our exterior doors. And we also have electronic door monitoring on all our doors. So with that being said, I'd like to move in a direction of asking the board for a motion to entertain a resolution to reinstate the SRO program. Once we have that motion and a second, then you can open it up to discussion, Mr. President.
I move.
Thank you, Al. Can I have a motion, please?
I move.
I made the motion. Would you see
I seconded that.
Second it. Okay, as a board, do we want to have any discussion on that? We good?
Well, I'll just make a quick statement. When this came up earlier in the year, one of the things all of you good people weren't here, we were looking for your voices. We did have voices of concern and voices that were concerned about some of the things that were read. And one of the ones that really stood out for us was the statement that the SRO, our movement towards an SRO officer was unsolicited, that nobody was asking for it. And so we had to take that into consideration. Now we have voices asking for it. So I don't have any problem at all moving forward with this. Except I do think we have to, the voices of concerns that were made known to us, we have to respect those, and I know and I hope that we'll be able to keep those concerns very much in mind if we move forward with an SRO officer, and make sure that all of the community comes to value that relationship. That said, there were two very significant points made. One was that the SRO officer won't be in every building at all times, so it's not a fail-safe forever. That's a reality. And with that, I move to a second point, that there's a real issue of mental illness and mental issues in our society, and we have to look very carefully at that. And I think as a community like this that comes together caring, that we have to take initiative ourselves to look around us, look to our neighbors, look to the families around us, make sure that it's not simply looking out for evil or looking out for fear, it's looking out for hate. And if we see hate rising up, finding a way to disarm that hate, finding a way to diffuse the hate, because you can look at every single one of these shooters and they're coming from a place of hate. And Highland, the loving community that it is, if it comes out and it addresses hate where it sees it with love, and I don't mean to sound corny, but I think if we do that actively as a community, we're doing a great deal to diffuse, and we won't even see this situation rise up. So that's my stance on this. But as far as the SRO officer goes, I support it, but I even more so support our community rising up with good intentions to support one another and to support people in need as you see them.
Thank you, Ed. Any other board member?
I would just like to make a comment. We did talk about this earlier in the year. I've been in favor of it all along. I am a graduate of Highland as well, and I remember I have very fond memories of having an SRO in our district in the elementary school when I was growing up. It was looked at as a positive. It was a person that we could go to, a person that we could learn from. I really look forward to that for the students in our district right now. I think it's needed now more than ever. I think the unfortunate events down in Texas has brought it to light, but I was really looking forward to it earlier in the year, so I'm glad, unfortunately, to see the events that happened, but I'm glad that we are able to move forward in that direction. Thank you.
I think the majority of you know that I've struggled with this issue for years, and I still remember Al turning to me when we took the vote right after Sandy Hook. He says, "You vote your conscience, Sue." And at that time I did. And but the passion here tonight, I feel you need this, you want this. My only wish and hope is that you would show the same passion for gun control. And also, I agree with Ed. We have a very serious mental health issue with young people. And I think you said it perfectly, to watch out for each other. There are young people who feel lonely, who feel lost, who might feel, not to use, a term, a loser, where that hate begins to fester. And he or she can go out and buy an AR-15 once they graduate high school, which is, to me, absolutely sinful. So if we could also channel passion for the common sense gun control, where I hear again day after day after day, I think we will be a better community. And so I will support the SRO.
I think the last time we spoke about it, I support for security reasons armed police officers in schools. However, the town of Lloyd plan is incomplete. If we're going to do it, every building's important. So I'd like to see an armed police officer in every one of our schools. So if the town of Lloyd can't supply that, they can supply part of that. I've asked Mr. Freer to reach out to the Ulster County Sheriff and see what can they provide. Because I don't want to have to pick a school. We have one SRO. Which one does it go in? They're all important. So we need 3, 5 days a week, and that's what I'm proposing we pursue.
So just, we talked about this back in December, and I heard the term complacency brought up, and I wish that when we were having these conversations, we had this room full of people. So it's kind of unfortunate that it takes a tragedy to bring everyone here in this room together to talk about issues that are serious. So that, just for the community, I just wish that we could have more of this when we're having conversations about budgets and, the diversity committee, academics. So I just kind of, again, complacency, but we had these conversations and we didn't have the audience. And I can go through all my credentials, but most importantly, I'm a vet from a military family, and I'm a parent of 2 children in the district. So safety is definitely my priority. The SRO plan that we have is not complete. And, these kids are going into schools, unfortunately, in supermarkets they're armed with automated weapons. They have the body armor. Do I believe in one SRO is going to stop the tragedy? I'm realistic, and I don't think it will help as a deterrent. As Councilman Moody said, the response time, that's the greatest benefit for me for the SRO. But what concerned me tonight was hearing comments about immigrants in our community as a threat. And so when we talk about why people don't want SROs in the community or in schools, that's what people are talking about. So I have a great relationship with police in my school district. I value the work that they do, but we have to be honest and have those conversations too, and understand that everyone's not coming to this table with, coming to this community with the same ideas about police and what it means in schools. So one of the things I spoke about previously was just having a conversation as a community with the police and what this SRO program will entail. But I'd also like to see this board set up a security committee to talk about what things can be done besides putting an armed officer in the building. So I'm not 100% on this, but I respect the community. But I also respect the voices that we didn't hear that brought up the concerns about the racism. So just to say that it doesn't exist. The comment about we don't see color in Highland, that's bothersome to me. So I just feel like there's other conversations that we need to have beyond just putting SRO in the building and saying that we're done, because I feel that we can do a lot more to support our scholars, to make everyone feel safe physically, but also on the inside as well. Thank you.
Just to add to all that conversation, I agree with Mike. I think the plan moving forward is to put an officer in each one of the buildings. When this was first discussed back in the winter, it was a program that came forward from our police chief and police department that we were going to be able to implement this spring and into the fall at no cost to the district. Unfortunately, we as a board tabled that discussion back then. Unfortunately, again, because of the recent occurrences, it's brought our community out again. And I think the afternoon of the tragedy in Texas, I texted the superintendent and said, I want this on the agenda. I emailed each board member and all our administrators and principals, I think 5:30, 6 o'clock the following morning, to say that I want to request the SRO on the agenda. It's going to be some discussion. I would definitely like to serve on a committee that would entertain moving this forward to bring the SRO program to each one of our campuses. We can sit down with the police chief and lieutenant from the police department and also with the town board. This has got to be a collaborative effort. This has got to be the town and the school district working together to protect the children and staff of our community. We're all one here. I've heard many community members come up and say, this is a community that sticks together and works together. Well, this is what we have to do to move this forward. We can't rely, obviously, on one SRO circling 3 campuses to give support. If you listen to Everett's earlier on, he discussed what the actual program is for an SRO, and I'm hoping that the police department can find those resources to put a program together that's not just an officer carrying a gun in a building. It's another layer of support for our students. If you remember 2008, 2009, when we had that crash, Ulster County pulled away resources to every school district in the county for mental health, and we still have not got that back yet. So we as a district has been trying to pull our resources together. We hired a couple more social workers this past year through that care package, money from the federal government. That's only a 2-year grant. We have to establish more for our students. I've heard from many residents out there, the issue is partial mental health. That has to be addressed, and I hope that through our budget process, and unfortunately that equates to some taxes going up, but I think we have to be able to absorb that to be safe haven for our children. 20 years ago, you could say, it's not going to happen in Highland. Today, you cannot say that. I heard that from Gina. I heard that from several other residents out there. So this is a work in progress. I think the initial step is no cost to the district. Our gracious police department and town board has allowed us to do that. So we can see how this program implements in September, and we have to continue that discussion because we missed our budget cycle. We don't have the money in this current budget for 22-23, so we have to be creative as a board to be able to put the funds to the resources that we need to implement a full-scale SRO program in our district. Thank you.
I think I would be undervaluing those who did write into the board. The public should know that we received many emails in support of moving forward in an SRO program. There was even a digital, thank you, a digital petition with hundreds and hundreds of names, parents, community members, you name it. So, you know, we realize the momentum behind this, obviously, and we're going to talk and act our way through it.
Just one last comment, because it's a question that I've gotten from many community members as I've talked about this over the past week or so. This is not a replacement of the security personnel that we have in place at this buildings right now. They will remain intact as they are. This is to support, again, additional safety in our schools. Just wanted to make sure that that's clear for everybody so that everybody understands that. Our great security are not going anywhere.
So what's left to do? I mean, is there a proposal?
Like I said,
yeah.
Just, and we have our town and our county officials here, but just, is there a way that you could support us with funding? So now we're talking about, 3 days a week, and we have 3 buildings. So just hoping that there's some support and legislation to help schools, because taxpayers pay that burden. It cuts into our funding for academics and other, our other programs, and we're having to pay for security and, police and whatever other measures we decide to do. So I just would be helpful if we can get support for the schools with that.
I would say that I will definitely
promise anything, but I can promise that I will try my best, and I will be in touch with all of you.
Thank you. Any other board comments regarding this? So I'm good with moving forward on establishing that program.
I think we need to take a vote, right? We did motion and second, but we didn't take a vote.
Just raising my support for it. So, can I have a motion?
We have a motion.
Motion.
All those in favor?
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So moved, 7-0. Thank you. Yeah. Has any board member received any miscellaneous correspondence that we need to know about? Nope. Okay, thank you. Public comments. We have a second public comment at the end of the meeting.
Hi, Celia Gottlieb, class of 2017. I think, yeah, 2017. Wow. Yeah, I just graduated from college. Exciting, right?
Congratulations.
And actually, after coming home from college, I went and got breakfast with a good friend of mine. And her son is 11 years old, and he's a public school student, and she's an English teacher, actually, at BOCES. And she was really scared. I asked her how she was doing, and sort of just this wave of sadness and devastation went over her face. And this is somebody I know to be a cheery educator, excited to go to school. And she said that she was scared to go to school and that she was scared to send her son to school. And she, like me, believes that a school resource officer is not the answer to this problem. I know I've sent lots of emails with facts, of which have been lacking tonight, and I hope that you all have read them, but I'd like to remind you all and everyone in this room of the research on the effectiveness of school resource officers. 1, school resource officers do not prevent school shootings or gun-related incidents. School shootings are incredibly rare, though devastating when they do happen. There's a 1 in 10 million chance of being shot in school. These events do happen though, but SROs do not prevent them. In fact, data from a RAND working paper shows that SROs actually marginally increase the likelihood of a school shooting. SROs increase the use of suspensions, expulsions, police referrals, and arrests of students too. These effects are consistently over 2 times for Black students and other students of colors. SROs also increase the rate of accidental shootings by 3-fold, of which Highland remembers well. 90% of school shootings happen by students who have been identified as issues, students who have been referred to police departments with no action taken. The facts were veiled by emotions, and this is an emotional topic for us all. And no, I don't have children, but I do love children. I think we all have that in common in this room. And I'm scared, and everyone here tonight is scared, and I'm sure that you all are scared too. Yet school resource officers have not managed to reduce school shootings yet, and they probably will not. You may remember footage of the school resource officer, Scott Peterson, staying outside of the school while a gunman shot 17 children in Parkland, Florida. A federal judge ruled that Peterson had no constitutional obligation to intervene during that rampage. He did nothing. And this is not an outlier example, as was proven last week in Uvalde, where police, SWAT, and Border Patrol all heavily armed. We're unable to save the lives of 17 children and 2 teachers. The issue is never a lack of people with guns. The issue is everything else. And school resource officers might make you feel like you're doing something, and they might make you feel like there's some illusion of safety. But the data is very clear. The response doesn't work. I really appreciated what Camille said, that we need some type of security committee to think about what other things can we do to respond to this. It's really easy to impulsively try to create safety in our schools, and I know that's what we all want. But the data is showing, right, very clearly, and I will re-forward all of the data I've already sent to you tomorrow, that these school resource officers are not going to be able to save our children. The students who are taking to this type of harm are bullied, alone, and struggling, as we've heard repeated throughout this time tonight. How do we work to improve school climate, school safety, and resources for all of these individuals? That's really the only way that we're going to reduce school shootings. I'm really urging you, in the time that you are going to have and the agendas to follow, the time you'll have in closed session to discuss this issue further, that you contemplate the data and you don't do the initial reactionary thing. The response seen by school boards across this country, including our own, in the wake of Sandy Hook, was proven to be ineffective. Why would we waste time and resources and taxpayers' money on something that has been proven by dozens of research firms and professionals to be ineffective? It's not the easy thing to do, right? To think about this issue deeply and to really contemplate how we want to respond in a comprehensive, equitable way. Appointing an SRO, appeasing a few community members, that's the easy thing to do. But we also have an opportunity here to innovate, to think very deeply about how we can make our school a safer place, how we can make this community more comprehensive with its care. I hope that you take that charge seriously. I want to finish by saying that I think in the wake of violence and tragedies, we're constantly grasping at ways to feel safe again. I think we all have that in common in this room. Impulsively turning towards the police instead of properly investing in resources, long-term solutions, and community-centered care is a mistake. We could move forward in a way that thinks in the long run, that thinks about our students, that thinks about our community, or we can be weak, unimaginative, impulsive, and counterproductive. Thank you.
Oh, this isn't a debate forum. This isn't a debate forum.
I just want to say, based on what I just heard, I guess we should get rid of the Secret Service. We've had 4 presidents assassinated. It doesn't work.
We have to stop.
We're not going to make this any kind of a debate.
People are just expressing their opinions. It's not a debate.
All right, well, my opinion is we need the SRO.
Well, you express
that. And I think my father used to say, figures don't lie, but liars figure. I can bring statistics to show you anything I want to show.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Could I have one final comment? It's a good thing. It's positive. Celia Gottlieb, I neglected to mention your name in what a deep impact that you've had on our district to make it a better place to be. I know it's difficult. You are a very brave young woman, and I know you will be a change maker for our country. Thank you.
My name is Richard Gottlieb. I'm Celia's dad. And although it wasn't said directly, the inference from many was that the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Unfortunately, that leaves an individual dead. And that individual didn't have to be killed. That individual could have been served better with mental health, with more guidance counselors. You know, I'm not against what a majority of the people are for. I'm just saying it sounds too much like a Western that I watched in the 50s. It just, and as my daughter said, she's better with the facts aren't lying here. And it's not just hate. It's been proven that like all of these people are suicidal, even when they're not killed. That's how big a failure they were. They went in with their hate, but with suicidal tendencies to the hilt.
I would include hatred of self in that hate, yeah.
So, you know, they were even unsuccessful at that, some of them. They survived. But have they survived, you know? Again, I'm not speaking against anything, but I am feeling that if there's any Swiss cheese in the school system, it could be with the guidance counselors, you know, how few there are. You talk about, you know, we need at least one security officer in every school. You barely have that many mental health folks in the schools. So, you know, you have to address all the problems. I always get upset when I hear it's a gun issue or it's a mental health issue. It's an issue. All of these things contribute to the carnage that we see, unfortunately, almost on a weekly basis. And if we don't address all of them, we've failed. I mean, it's tough. It's a tough thing, and that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
If I could just add a reflection, obviously a sensitive topic, and I'm a public school advocate, those of you who know me through and through, but I do believe that we're heaping a lot on the public school. And yes, we could add more, and people are willing to pay more, whether it's for an SRO or another counselor, but I do believe that there's another discussion out there on how to treat our young adults once they leave the school and our adults in general. I think that, and you know, we've had a lot of those discussions. The counties have stripped their programs clean. And all you say is, the school can do it, the school can do it. Well, we can address the K through 18. Yes, we can. But if you take a look at the data and start looking at these incidents, some are school age and others are young adults that are off on their own. And I think society has to look at, yes, the schools are part of the answer, but I don't think they're the only answer. Thank you.
Just want to address a comment by Mr. Gottlieb also. We're here tonight and we came to a resolve that we are going to institute this program because we have to give our kids a chance while they're in a school building to be safe, while in tandem the mental health issues are addressed, and there's a ramped up effort to do that. We can't just put everything there and not do anything safety-wise for our kids to keep them safe so that they can grow up and make the world a better place themselves. So we're doing something here because the public came to us and they're asking us to do something, and we are trying to do that. We're making that attempt, and I do believe we're going to be successful, especially locally in partnership with our town. Hopefully the county kicks in and starts taking over some of the responsibilities that we just said were, let loose. They couldn't do it, couldn't afford it. Yes, the school district is always being asked to do more, spend more, of resources that are rare. We are the only budget that everybody votes on. Towns, counties, state, federal government, their budgets are their budgets, and they put into them whatever they can, cram into them whatever they can. We try to do the same thing, but we have a limit, an imposed limit on us, and it's just not easy. So again, I think we're heading in the right direction. Yes, all those issues that you spoke about, and Celia, that you spoke about, exactly. We have to address a lot of these issues, but this is our way of taking care of our end of the obligation within the school buildings that we take care of. Perfect world, we don't need school resource officers in a perfect world. In a perfect world, we don't have people with mental illness. So right now, we have to address multiple issues, and the majority of tonight's discussion in public was regarding what we can do and the one program that we know we can enact as a safeguard for our students and staff and anybody that inhabits this building during the school day or after the school day. So again, thank you everybody for speaking, saying what you had to say tonight. I think it was, you all spoke with knowledge and passion. So again, thank you for that. And that includes the fellow board members.
I just want to go back to, we heard a lot about mental health supports, and I just think, I know we've done a lot, but could we do some type of presentation to the community at a future meeting and talk about that aspect? Because it's come up a lot. And just to echo what Mike said, it takes a community. Like everyone that showed up today, we need to show up every day. So there's a lot of things that our kids are dealing with more now than ever. If you work in the school, you talk to your kids, so we got to be better for our kids, not because someone runs into a school and unfortunately did what they did. We have things happening in grocery stores, we have things happening in the subway, so we've got to do better. So everyone here, I'm asking you just to show up, whether it's showing up at school, showing up in the community, but we've got to pull together to get through everything that we're going through. Because it's not going to get easier if we're working in opposite directions. So we got to have that dialogue. We got to respect both sides. So, when Celia was speaking, people were making comments on the side. That's not respectful. She's a product of this school community, and she got up and spoke like everyone else did, so I did not like hearing that. So we got a model for our youth that are here watching, respectful conversations. We get things done. We're going to agree on things, we're going to disagree, that's life, but we've got to do it the right way, and we're doing it for our kids, so we all come up to, show up every day for our kids. We're going to see results. All right, so sorry, I'm not going to preach.
No, that's okay, Camille, thank you. Again, thank you everybody for your involvement tonight in this. I know you want to speak, Ed. Just my piece here that, again, this has been a positive experience on difficult topics. So, thank you.
I can say one quick thing, please. My daughter, Kayla, is a social worker up on Lily Lake Road in the Division of Youth. And she just bluntly comes out and says there is not enough help for mentally ill people. If she can help one person in her whole career, it'll be a lot. She worked at St. Francis. She worked in a mental health facility on Oakland Street in Dixie as an outpatient. There's not enough trained professional mental health people to help these people. There's no facility to help these people, and that's what the sad thing is. And it's almost like you can hear someone say, I have cancer, which is terrible, or I have diabetes, or but my mother has schizophrenia. You don't hear that, you know, it's such a hidden, quiet thing. And that's why there's like no help for these people. And it's so sad. And she's right, there's just not any place for these people to go to get help. Plain and simple. But like you said, reach out to each other, be kind, be respectful, light of each other. These people make a difference. But the thing is, the huge issue that is not going to go down.
There are some places, I know they're understated, but I'd like to see people return to church. I think that could really help society.
I just want to say that the county has approved a crisis stabilization center that will be opening up in Kingston. Okay. It's late. So that's really a wonderful thing. We not only after the one in Dutchess County, it is approved, and so that's something to look forward to.
Good. I just wanted to say before, I want to emphasize a point Camille made. Make no mistake about Celia. She knew the temperature of this room, and she knew the quantity, and her courage getting up and speaking her truth. I admire that tremendously. And Celia, to your point, I agree we need to look for innovative solutions, and we can use your knowledge, what you've read, and I've read every document you've said, I've read thoroughly. And so I want you to know that you are being listened to. But I encourage you to help us find a way to change. Part of that innovation can be if we utilize this program and your concerns about SROs and what their influence may be, if we make sure that our program is respectful, is sensitive, is addressing all of your concerns while addressing the concerns of the people in this room, I think we can be innovative in that way. And to Camille's point, when we listen to one another respectfully, we can come to a higher resolution. And I just want to compliment you for your courage in this situation, and I want to compliment everybody for trying to do exactly what Celia said. We all love the children. We want to see their future. They're our commodity. Let's work together, but let's listen to each other too, because I think there are very salient points on all sides. So thank you.
With all due respect, I think everybody that got up there showed courage tonight.
I know, but in this room, the point that was being made was vastly outnumbered. I'm not saying, this isn't a contest, I'm just saying,
I'm just saying, you want anybody else?
I applauded every single person who came up, sir.
Motion to adjourn the meeting. You guys can stay and talk it out.
Second.
Seconded by Sue G.
Thank you.
That was Mike.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Why the hatred?
Go.
Why the